Coming up on today's episode of Technoid, here is your official look at the Google Pixel 4a XL. As you know, it is canceled, so I'm going to break down exactly why it was canceled and what it could have been had it been released. Also on today's episode, Google is delaying the Android 11 beta announcement due to the recent protests in America right now. I'll explain everything on that. And also the PlayStation 5 announcement is heading to your computer on June 4th. All that and more on today's episode, so stay tuned. Yo, what's happening everybody? Michael here, welcome back to Technoid, and excuse that cheesy intro I did, but guys, I'm just gonna be honest, I got a little bored and I just wanted to do something a little creative, something different for a change, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyway, welcome back to another episode. I hope you all are doing excellent. Now, today's episode is gonna be a relatively short one. I'm gonna try to keep it under 10 minutes, but before we start the episode, I have an announcement. If you did not see my live stream last night, I am going live tomorrow night with Show and Tech. Him and I are gonna talk tech, so tomorrow's will be a 1-hour live episode of Technoid, hopefully for about an hour, maybe a little bit shorter, depends how much news we get through. I am super excited to go live with Show and Tech. He's a great YouTuber, great person. He's been very, very kind to me these past few weeks. So I want to thank him for discovering my channel, giving me consideration, and also I cannot wait to go live. So remember, mark your calendars tomorrow night. Now, with that out of the way, let's get it going. Story number one. Before we talk about Google and everything going on with Google, let's get a couple stories out of the way. So the first story up, we are going to Samsung. Now, for a little while, I've been covering Samsung tablets. I've been talking mostly about how Samsung is trying to make a push for their tablet line. Well, there was one tablet that was announced, the Tab S6 Lite, which is a cheaper model to the Tab S6, which for me really doesn't make any sense since the Tab S6 is already a cheap tablet on its own. But I guess $650 is probably a little bit too much for people. Well, good news, they have made the Lite version that also comes with an S Pen and comes for $350. Now, for $350, that's actually not a bad price point considering it's an Android tablet. The only downgrade with this experience is that you will miss out on a couple of features, but relatively everything there is in the tablet. You don't necessarily have to worry about taking a drawback. There is a headphone jack, so you have some good news there. But the Tab S6 Lite is made to mostly get entry-level users into Samsung's ecosystem. I normally never buy Android tablets because I don't think they're too well-fledged or too supported well. But I will say Samsung is the only one that seems to have perfected the Android tablet. So if you want to pick it up, definitely check it out. Now that we got Samsung out of the way, let's talk about PlayStation. So as you know, I am a huge PlayStation fan. I have been a big fan of PlayStation since 2002. Yes, 2 years old. Don't ask me how. I just remember I had the original PlayStation and then the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, and so on and so forth. But as you know, I've been covering the PlayStation 5. I've been super excited. Well guys, on Thursday, we are going to finally see the PlayStation 5. It is going to be announced on June 4th at 1 p.m. in the afternoon Pacific time. And honestly, as a PlayStation fan, I love what Sony does. I love their consoles. I've been with them through thick and bone. I've been through it all. I've seen it all. I've experienced it, from the hacks to the downgrade of the servers to the PlayStation Plus membership to the original content, everything. So I'm super excited to see what this next generation of PlayStation brings. And honestly, everybody argues that it's going to be expensive, but if you really think about it, consoles are really the true next-gen devices. Unlike smartphones where they always change every year, consoles on average change from either 5 to 10 years max. That's how often they're cycled. So think about that next time you want to talk about a smartphone. Just saying. Now that we got the PlayStation stuff and basically the two stories, let's head over to Google. So as you know, Android 11 was supposed to be released to the beta, to people in the public beta, but unfortunately things did not work out so well for it because of what's going on right now. Now listen. This story does involve me talking about what's going on. I'm not going to get too much into it, but all I'm going to say on this matter of what is happening right now in America, the protest for George Floyd, I will say this: I support justice for George Floyd. I think what happened to him was terrible. I believe that he deserves justice. He should not have died. What that cop did was wrong, and I think that cop deserves to go to jail. And the other three, in my opinion, I really would say they should be charged for being an accessory because they could have stopped it. But again, I don't want to dive too deep into this because then it'll create a diversion and a lot of people will disagree and stuff. So all I'm going to say is I support justice for Floyd, and that's all I'm going to leave it at. But in regards to Google and the response from the riots and all the protests, they have decided to push back the announcement of Android 11 beta and Android 11 as a whole. Their reasoning for it is simple. This is not a time to celebrate, and they have a fair point. There's a lot more things to worry about in this world. We've already gotten the coronavirus that's already affected everything. Now we have this, and God forbid the coronavirus spikes again. Although I will say, if there are no spikes in the coronavirus from all this protesting, I think we've been living a lie. I'm just saying. But in all honesty though, I understand where Google's coming from, and I think it's very commendable when a company is willing to take a step back for the people and also for what's going on. So props to Google and props to all the other companies sharing their support. And listen, I'm gonna leave it at this. If you are for what's going on right now, don't sit idle by and be quiet. If you believe in something you truly believe in, I believe you should stand up for what you believe in. Again, like I said, I'm not gonna dive too deep in this because there's a lot more to this story, but all I'm gonna say is this. In regards to the protest and what Google's doing, I think Google's doing a smart job letting the people focus on what they need to focus on before we can get back to the world, meaning that tech world. So that's all I'm gonna say. Very, very sensitive here. I hope I didn't push anybody, make them upset. I apologize if you don't agree with what I have to say, but that's all I'm gonna say. Now that we're done with Google, let's head over to the Pixel 4a XL. Now let's talk the Pixel 4a XL. Now, as you know, the Pixel 4a XL was supposed to be released alongside the Pixel 4a, but for some uncertain reasons, Google decided to pan the 4a XL and just release the 4a. Now, a lot of people were upset and wondered what it would look like. Well, official renders have come out. Now, these aren't renders from Google, but these are renders from people that have internal sources with Google manufacturing, and this is basically what it would have looked like. Now, on the surface, it looks very similar to the 4a. It's simple. It's the 4a phone. The only difference, it would have had a second camera and a bigger display. Now, the reason why Google decided not to release this is a little vague, but if I had to give my own predictions, I would say the chain manufacturing would probably not have been able to manufacture this phone on a large scale due to also restrictions and things going on. But also, looking at the phone itself, it looks very similar to the Pixel 4, which again, probably would have derived sales from the flagship. So it would have made sense for them to make a mid-range that's smaller, that doesn't look too similar. But again, the 4a and the 4a XL would have been cool if the XL was in the lineup. Maybe eventually we'll get it, but again, if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. And honestly, I think the 4a XL would have been a cool thing to see. Because if you look at how people have responded with the mid-range market from the Pixel 3a to the 3a XL, you could see a lot more people were invested in the XL variant of the phone. A bigger screen, better battery, all that good stuff. But also for the fact that a mid-range gives you a nice display, 2 cameras, a headphone jack, a fingerprint scanner, that's pretty good value right there. And stock Android, let's not forget. So for me, it comes down to why Google didn't do it, and it's simple why Google didn't do it. They just probably wouldn't have been able to make it. That's my opinion, and the images kind of show that it looks too similar to the flagship. But again, if you don't agree with what I said, that's completely up to you. It's your prerogative, it's your opinion. But I am curious to think that if it had been released, what would it have been like had we had 2 lineups? Would it have been the same? Would it have been different? Let me hear your thoughts down below about the Pixel 4a XL. Do you think we might still get that variant? And that's it for today's episode of TechNerd. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoy. Again, there are a lot of things going on right now, so everybody please stay safe, take care of yourself. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Like the video if you enjoyed it, dislike the video if you did not enjoy it. That helps circulate my videos either way. As always guys, thank you so much for watching and peace!